problem at all.
I'm trying to wrap her up.
Oh, it's a her?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, can I step forward without going into frame?
Your arm is in the frame there. Now you're okay.
Like that?
You're good there.
2, check 2, 2.
Still a little painful.
Never mind. You have enough to worry about. Can we move these so that Pam has a place to sit?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, wait, we got these other chairs.
And those maybe just shouldn't sneak in the other eye.
Yeah. I'm not got this rag right here. Yes, Daryl.
What's up? I was going to be documentarian today.
Come on.
I don't know if I can.
Yeah.
Good job, right?
You're in the splash zone. Unfortunately, we gotta get you out of the splash zone. Yeah.
Daryl, you kick off because you can speak.
Alrighty.
Forget it.
So I have to have everybody's name here before am I in? Wait.
Daryl,
Yeah.
Niels can do your videoing if you
It's
want.
gonna be probably me and then you, and then it's just gonna be that. I don't think it's like a whole lineup. It's just,
Oh no, I'm just
No,
gonna.
he's going to kick off until he has to
I
make
think
his
it was originally there.
Okay.
So you can.
So we were just gonna get some introductory words. I'm not prepared for that.
Oh, okay.
Because I would need to be
Mother's in the hospital. That's what
Oh. So Mark is not going to make it, it seems like. His
No,
mother's in the
really,
hospital.
Daryl will kick off.
So who's everybody? I know Pam. I don't have to say about it. I'll just say.
Welcome your name. She can pick it off.
All right.
Oh, sorry. You need it? Where's the black and white?
So if we're gonna kick it off, let's kick it off.
Before you start, I want to make sure the stream
Okay, hold on
actually
before
going.
we begin.
And it might be.
I'm gonna steal the mic for a little bit though.
I see a little bit of red there, but it's not
Can you
like.
slide it out?
Yeah.
We can take it off
No,
of
no,
there.
no.
It might be easiest to just pass the microphone down the line for
Okay,
folks.
that's fine.
You can probably swing that instead.
Hello. Okay.
No.
Just let me know
It's not noticeable.
when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see if the stream
Like
is
you can
live.
notice, it almost could look like they just notice it because you
Hello. Are you all comfortable just passing the microphone back
Yeah,
and
yeah,
forth
yeah.
across the line? Okay, great. That might work best for.
because it was getting in the way of the video, the stand.
I think the boom might be. Yeah. You don't mind. Wow, this is so cute. Yay. Hi.
Hey Nathan, I'm not seeing it on the YouTube channel. Oh, so you can actually see it live now? Okay, great.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
It's raining. It's raining.
Yeah, 1 second. Is there a free Julian sign that we can put in the back? Okay, great. They don't have one here, so. They said they left it at the hotel. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. All right. Okay, I'll ask them now. Thanks. Just check this. All right, pretty good.
Okay, we good? All right, y'all. I want to gather around if you can. I know it's a little wet, but I want to thank everybody for being here. Number one, this is a really important event. I just got to tell you, my name is Julian Jenkins. I'm from One People's Project, originally based out here in Philadelphia, but I'm now up in Jersey. Really good, really happy to see you all here today. But you're not here to talk to me, here to listen to me. You're here to listen to the folks here who want to try to make sure that Julian is out of jail as soon as possible.
Yes, yes.
And I'm glad that we're here in Philadelphia. I'm glad that I'm here in Philadelphia because I'm being reminded when I come here that we also got to make sure that that brother Mumia is out as well. It isn't over, y'all. Everybody keeps thinking when I go around, everybody keeps thinking it's over. It's not. It's not. So I just wanted to put that out there. Last time I was here, we was doing a teaching about the Proud Boys and trying to let people know what they were about and how dangerous they were. Now everybody knows. We most certainly knew that day because they showed up and tried to intimidate us. But after 20 minutes, they realized that wasn't going to work, so they left. So now I want to introduce y'all to some other people that will not be intimidated. I'm just going to hand over the mic to Yanni to continue the song.
Free all political prisoners. Free them all.
Free 'em all.
Free all political prisoners. Julian Assange is a political prisoner. And we need to be engaging this case with that clarity and that understanding. I'll introduce myself. My name is Yane Indigo, and I am here representing the Black Alliance for Peace. And the Black Alliance for Peace demands that Julian Assange be freed along with all political prisoners.
Yes.
The reality that, a lot of times we look at these situations like this situation and we think of it as like a clear, understood issue of the left. But when you look at the way that the left has handled and stood by Assange in this situation, it does not seem to actually be clear. Assange, like Chelsea Manning, they were abandoned. They have been abandoned by the left. And it demonstrates, this reality and this truth demonstrates the way that the Western left is not really all that left at all. And, when you look at like the way that the left responds or acts like there's a big difference, for instance, in the Obama administration and the Democrats or the Trump administration, Assange was pursued by both of those administrations. And these administrations collaborate as it relates to any of the issues that affect working class people. And at the end of the day, what Julian Assange did was tell the people what they had every right to know. And instead of prosecuting the people who were behaving inappropriately, who were committing acts against humanity, who were committing war crimes, instead of actually prosecuting those individuals, they want to prosecute the person who had, or the people who had the gall, who had the heart, who had the courage to step out and tell the truth and say, no, it is not okay. I see what is happening. I understand what is happening, and I'm going to tell the world what's happening because the people deserve to know. But the people also have a responsibility. The people have a responsibility to stand up. And it is not sufficient to go to a march or go to a protest for a day for one issue and then act like that issue now has received your contribution and then move on to the next issue and then move on to the next issue. They are all connected. We recognize that these things are connected. It's great that we're here in the city of Philadelphia talking about this because the city of Philadelphia is a great example of something that speaks to and articulates this idea of justice and righteousness, while it is also a city that has histories like bombing independent people for being revolutionary to civilians and again, no consequences. The contradictions of the city of Philadelphia are a perfect representation and reflection of the contradictions of the U.S., the contradictions of the U.S., EU, NATO collaboration, and the contradictions of the Western left. We need to be looking at our comrades in the global south when we really want to understand what it really truly means to be a revolutionary. That is the reason why I wore this pin of Shay, because the revolutionaries of the global south are true revolutionaries, and we need to look at those examples today. When you see what's happening in Colombia, when you see what the people are doing in Haiti, when you are seeing what the people are doing in Uganda, when you look at what the people are doing in these other locations, you recognize and understand what it is that we are supposed to be doing here. We should not just be sitting and talking. We should be burning shit down.
Yeah.
It is time for us to figure out that either we turn this situation completely around, we turn the system completely upside down, or the world is going to end. Because the planet is not accepting this kind of behavior any longer. So I just wanted to say a few words of introduction to get us started. But the most important thing for us to understand, or I'm not going to say, I don't know what the most important thing for us to understand, but an important thing for us to understand is that we have a lot of fights. There were thousands of people on the street in support of Palestine. It's an important fight. There weren't that many people on the streets in support of the End SARS fight, but it's an important fight. Nobody's talking about Haiti. It's an important fight. There are not enough people talking about our political prisoners. All of these fights are completely intertwined. All of our struggles are being imposed on us by the same entities. The same entities that are keeping dictators in place in Uganda and keeping dictators in place in Haiti and trying to overturn the revolution and the democracy of Cuba and Venezuela are the same people who are trying to take Julian Assange and criminalize him for his heroic decisions. And we will not abide it. Free all political prisoners. Yes. Free them all.
Free them all.
Free them all.
We have
You got any?
You can use the sanitizer
I
spray.
put the sanitizer right there. Does anybody have a Kleenex?
Sorry. We just gotta be safe. Now I have to do it again.
Right. On the move and long live revolution.
Long live revolution.
I'm here representing the MOVE organization and the organization that this government dropped a bomb on for telling the truth about what's going on here. I'm also here representing Mumia Abu-Jamal, who from death row has continued to put out the information about our brother and why we should be supporting him. I'm not going to take long. My sister Yane said a lot. I just want to let people know that we're here and people have got to break the silence. We're constantly looking for someone to stand up and do for us. And when they do, they wind up being known as, if they don't kill them, they wind up being in prison for the rest of their life. Julian, he's outside the country and they want to bring him back here to torture him. We say, hell no. Stand up and support and put out the truth. Mark Lamont Hill, he was supposed to be here to do a interview with the two of them. He had a family emergency and he could not make it. So we'll turn the mic over to the people who know what is going on the move. And thank you for your strength.
I'm going to spray it again.
Okay.
I'm sorry, just had the one free ad announcement before you turn it over.
Yeah, Sarah's
One free ad announcement.
Oh, okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
We have a comrade here.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sarah Burgess, and I'm here way out of my comfort zone to speak to you today because I am representing Ant's Defense Committee. And we appreciate the chance to make this connection to what's happening to Julian Assange and to other people who are in this situation. Who is Ant Smith? I know him first and foremost as an educator at Youth Build, where we work together, where he is every day literally lifting up the young people of Philadelphia and supporting them with all of his heart and his mind. He is also a powerful organizer, activist, leader, and advocate who is committed to challenging power structures here in that are oppressing the people, poor, black, working class people of this city. What happened? This last October, he was arrested based on and connected to the protests in May of 2020. He was arrested and the government decided to try him federally, which is a choice that they made, which comes with a mandatory 7-year sentence if he is convicted. This is clearly a politically motivated charge that is designed to suppress the voice of a powerful person advocating for change in our city and beyond. So we, the Defense Committee, and many, many, many organizers across Philadelphia are committed to standing with Ant and making sure that the government does not swallow him up as it has so many other for powerful, powerful voices for change in our city. I have flyers that I have here that I passed around to some of you. I'll make sure that you all have them. We look for your support, and again, we thank you for allowing us to make this connection to something that's obviously much broader, that's happening to many people who have been dissenting across this country this year and in the past. We must stand up and refute that, and I welcome the opportunity to speak to you all and to make sure we are standing behind one of the citizens of our city. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good job. Good job.
Hello everybody, my name is John Shipton. I'm Julian Assange's father. This is Julian Assange's brother, Gabriel. Thank you for your welcome. I've adopted into my vocabulary now this expression, you all. So really nice. Yeah, thanks you all. Behind me here is one of the most profound civilizational artifacts in the world, the First Amendment. This is a treasure of the United States that's been slowly eroded by Washington, and Washington no longer wants this golden artifact to dominate the conversation in the United States. It's a really important matter. Now, Julian Assange, in his publications, is becoming a victim, the first victim of the destruction of the First Amendment. So your support will assist us and assist yourselves and all the other people in the United States who treasure and utilize the First Amendment to express themselves with their friends, to publish their thoughts, and have conversations wherein they can get or put together a point of view and understand that the government ought not to do this or ought to do something. This is so important. So thank you very much, and the fight goes on.
Hello everyone, thanks for coming down in the rain. I know it's a bit wet, but it's good to see all these faces here, and you know, we're sort of communicating all this back to Julian, that people are coming out all over. We've been to, we started off in Miami, then we went to Boston, we did New York yesterday, Philadelphia today, and we'll be in DC tomorrow. And we're just letting Julian know that everyone's coming out, and there's a lot of support here on the ground, and that keeps him going in prison. So Julian Julian won his extradition case on the 3rd of January, but the US DOJ appealed instantly, basically, and a few days later he was refused bail. It's been 6 months since that day, and he still doesn't know whether when there will be an appeal hearing. So he's just been sitting in a maximum security prison on remand. He's not sentenced. So he's surrounded by people who are serving life sentences, 16-year sentences. But for Julian, there's no finality. There's no sentence. So there's no, we can't even plan a party or anything for him, when he gets out. So this is a sort of technique that's been used against Julian to sort of wear him down. It's one of the Nils Melzer, the special rapporteur on torture, he's from the UN, he's called it psychological or no-touch torture, which Julian has been suffering under for almost, I think it's 12 years, in these 12 years now. Why is this happening to Julian? Julian, he really flipped the lens of surveillance and so when the surveillors became the surveilled, so that the people who do bad things in our name now have to think twice before they before they sort of commit their corruption or their crimes, because they know that there are people like Julian out there who will expose them. Well, that's about it that I wanted to say, but yeah, thanks for everyone for coming out. We'll be in DC tomorrow, and we're continuing on for the month of June. One other thing is, a lot of people think, I think one thing we noticed in New York is a lot of people feel powerless. They don't know what to do. Especially with Julian's case, where it feels like we're up against such a the national security state is so powerful. So I think what's been successful in Australia is just keeping things local. So you petition your local congressperson, set up a local petition, among your local constituents, and target your congressperson. Get your friends and family, your neighbours, all to express what they want to their congressperson through a petition, and then submit that to your congressperson. And then, they represent you, so they have to do what you want. And then, once you've got that group formed through the petition, you just keep working it, keep getting together, keep talking, emailing, and then just keep attacking your congressperson and getting them, to do something, to talk to Merrick Garland, getting to drop the charges, or advocate to Biden. But I think that's the best, what we can do on a local level is things like that, and they work. They work in Australia, they work all around the world. So I don't see why they wouldn't work here. All right, thanks everyone.
Just one more thing, we're all brothers and sisters in this battle. There's no separation at all. And as my companion here on my left said, that it's all joined together. So pushing on this circumstance to get Julian Assange free, also to prevent the erosion of the First Amendment, is the beginning of unity and solidarity for us. And Gabrielle mentioning that the secret is in local. Don't expect Biden to do anything. Just expect your local congressman to take notice of the 450 or 500 signatures on a local petition. Say, look, these are your people here and this is our concern. That's sufficient. It builds, and it starts, well, in Australia now, about 80% of the parliament, that's 227 parliamentarians, about 80% of them are sympathetic. About 30 of them are actively sympathetic, and it's only come about through that technique. A Facebook page with your friends, talking things over, get yourself in the information stream, and a simple petition to your local congressman and say, look, we've got this concern, what are you going to do, old chap? Very simple. Build from the ground up. Don't expect them to be rainmakers. Biden got so much on his plate, he couldn't fix anything. And he's a year older than me. I tell you, he's got a lot of trouble concentrating. I know. So, thank you very much. And see you at how does it go? See you at the barricades.
Just in case there are people here who are not familiar with many of the details and things that have about the case, I'm just going to read over a timeline. So in 2010, WikiLeaks released the video Collateral Murder, which was leaked to them by Chelsea Manning. The video showed the killing of Iraqis, including a journalist. 2010, Afghan war logs and Iraq war logs were released. In 2010, Assange was accused of rape in Sweden. He was never charged there. He returned to Sweden for questioning, but he fought extradition. He feared that he would be turned over to the U.S. 2012, Assange seeks asylum at the Ecuadorian embassy in London. In London, yeah. In 2013, Swedish prosecutors attempted to close the case, but they were dissuaded by the British. In 2016, WikiLeaks releases DNC emails, which they say were leaked, and forensic computer evidence confirms a leak and not a hack. Assange was granted Ecuadorian citizenship, but in 2017. But in 2018, a new government in Ecuador cut off his communication, removed his citizenship after receiving $4 billion in an IMF loan. In 2019, Chelsea Manning was jailed for refusing to testify before a grand jury. Also in 2019, UK removes Assange from the embassy after Ecuador revokes his citizenship. U.S. indictment charging him under the Espionage Act is unsealed. He was sent to Belmarsh Prison, where he remains today. Eastern District of Virginia is a hanging court where acquittals are rare. In 2019, UN rapporteur Nils Melzner described his treatment in the embassy and in jail as meeting the definition of torture, as just described. In 2019, Sweden officially drops the sexual assault charges. In 2021, British judge declares against sending him to the U.S., citing his poor health, but also refuses to release him on bail. So that is just a quick timeline so people can understand, a little bit more about this case. And I just was wondering if you all wanted to share, anything about Julian, did you have a hint that he would be this kind of person that would take this kind of risk and stand out in this way and be able to make this kind of impact while he was growing up, when he was your brother and your son and young, when y'all were younger? Did you have hints about this person that he ended up being, this person in the world?
Yeah, I think, whenever I've known Julian, he was always trying to use his skills, just to stop injustice, basically, in the world. And one way he used to do that was he made in the early 2000s, he worked on some encryption software called Rubber Hose, which was developed for journalists who, would say travel over a border and get pulled over by police. They would be tortured, and it was a multi-layered encryption program. So, if they had a USB stick and the state was torturing them, they could give one password, and that would open one layer, and the second layer would remain undetectable. So the torturers would be like, oh, we found it, we found everything. But the second layer would hide the information, so the actual leakers or people who were giving the information to journalists would remain protected. So from a very early time, he's always been interested in how do we hold states to account, how do we prevent injustice around the world, and how do we expose injustice, and that sort of developed from there. And in 2006 he started WikiLeaks, and that sort of eventually grew and grew to what it is today. So he's definitely had this keen sense of what is right, and how the truth will really just destroy injustice around the world.
Say what you just said to me.
Oh, there were the Swedish were allegations. They weren't charged, and those allegations were never developed. They're just there to ruin and smear the character of Julian, particularly, and to divert our attention from the heinous crimes that were exposed in the Iraq War files, in the Afghan War files, and in the Guantanamo files. It's an endless list. As for Julian, I always had a fascination for fighting for justice and a dislike of lies, particularly lies from the state. So asserting constantly that freedom only comes through knowledge. You've got to know stuff to know where you're free. And so that's been his attitude. Also, he did set up an investigation back in the early days and received a commendation for it, for tracking pedophiles, tracking pedophiles on the internet, and he received a commendation for it. So the suffering, the deliberate cruelty to people is nauseating to Julian and to me and Gabriel, and I guess to you. So something that we fight against with all our strength. There's just no need to go and bomb Iraq and murder in the process 1 million people, or have people like Madam Albright say on television when asked about 500, can you imagine the grief? 500,000 children destroyed their lives. The grief that the mums and dads felt, 500,000, and she said, oh well, we think it's worth it. Well, these people are just monsters, and so we fight against them. Thank you.
Can we have a few people who want to ask questions, so we're going to do that now. Razaka?
Ed Snowden, he said Julian Assange inspired him. Did they have a relationship or whatever, or he was just from a distance, expert to expert?
Who?
Ed Snowden.
Ed Snowden.
You notice they don't mention him no more. He taught the CIA how to hack.
When Edward ended up in Hong Kong, abandoned by the Intercept on his own, Julian used the tools of secrecy, encryption, deceit, duplicity to confuse the CIA pursuing. When I say duplicity, having a false trail, laying a false trail, so that the CIA followed the wrong trail and managed to get Edward to safety. Edward reached out to Julian for assistance, stranded in Hong Kong. So that's their communication. He saved his life.
And Edward remains on the committee to protect Julian Assange as well.
Okay.
Committed to each other's cause.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Thanks for asking that question, Razaka. You had a question?
I was just thinking that recently there's been some other whistleblowers that came out about a really effective prophylactic against COVID and how it's saved lives in places where it's used. And the man is a noted liberal, but he continually says that he thought he was being hyper cynical, and every time he investigates more, he realizes he's being way too naive. And I wonder if part of Julian's struggle is that perhaps did he know the depth of corruption, and before he, or has he learned more about it, or does he have a sense that there still are good people in some places in power?
You talking about ivermectin?
Not just our power.
You talking about ivermectin?
Yeah.
With
But that innocence that
all these organizations, Department of Defense or State Department or the CIA, they're all just made up of people. So, there's people in there like you and I, there's good people, there's bad people. So, within all these institutions, there exists the Edward Snowdens, the Daniel Hales, these whistleblowers. They're in there. you know, they have a sense of, you know, they have principles. They have a sense of, you know, right and wrong. And you know, when they come across, you know, these war crimes or mass spying, they feel a need to, you know, release these things. And I think, you know, what's happened now is that with this prosecution against Julian, there's no longer an outlet for these whistleblowers, because this is the first time the Espionage Act has been used against a publisher. So now, say the New York Times or the Washington Post or any other media outlet, if they receive some national security leak, they now have to consider whether they will come under an Espionage Act prosecution. So if you're a good person in one of these institutions, if you're a principled person who sees injustice and you're looking at it and you say, I need to leak this, I need to put this out, but then you turn around and it can't be printed anywhere because these, you know, these publishers can now be prosecuted under the Espionage Act. So that's why it's so important that, you know, this prosecution is stopped, because there's all this stuff that's being done behind closed doors that needs to come out, that needs to be talked about, that we need to know what's been done, you know, in our names.
Thank you. I just worry about you all getting in the rain there, and it's COVID season. So look, we better call it a wrap, I reckon.
I just have one question. Does he receive mail?
Yes, there's even a website. It's called writejulian.com.
Does he receive remittance?
Yes. Yeah, and sometimes, back in the early days when he was first put into Belmont, they saved up the mail for 3 months, so there's over 1,000 great big stack of letters, which, I tell you, when you're in jail, receiving support from the outside, knowing that outside the jail, there's people who are interested in your circumstances, is really important, vital to the strength to go on living. So that in the case of Mumia, you know, write him a letter, drop him a line.
Can you shed any light on Seth Rich?
Gee, that's a can off. Worms, that one. No, I can't. I'd like to, but I... Yeah.
So I think we're going to be wrapping up. Just to reiterate the importance of this fight, you know, there is no revolution without revolutionaries. And you're not going to have people who have the courage to step forward if they know that when they're captured, if they have the impression or believe that when they're captured, they're not going to be fought for. We have to do our part to build courage in our community. These acts that they're doing, like this, just what was described with the Espionage Act, for example, to silence people, it has to be balanced by our courage and by our will to consistently fight. So we cannot allow that just because they do this and they go through these procedures and they capture our people, that they are allowed to be kept. We have to fight, and we have to liberate all of our political prisoners. So we must fight for Julian Assange, because that is what gives the next person the courage to come out and let people know when they are being damaged, when there are inequities that are being exacted, and how those things are being done, so that we can fight against them. So that is our duty. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, there's the meeting assignment?
Yeah. We are
Streaming on the Assange defense.
You have this on your line?
What was that?
On your site?
No, it's on the Assange Defense YouTube channel.
Assange Defense?
Assange Defense YouTube.
Oh, okay.
I can send you the link.
Okay, thanks.